Okay, let's look at a couple more examples. We're now down to example 7. This is 6x plus 1/2 y is equal to 3. We're still solving for the y. Oops, wrong color. There we go. So when we're solving this one for y, same thing. We're going to be doing our inverse operations. I'm going to start by getting rid of the 6x that's over here on the left side with the y. So we will subtract 6x. Whatever we do to one side, we must do to the other side. So I will subtract 6x from over here as well. And that will leave us with 1/2 y on the left side equal to negative 6x plus 3 on the right. Again, these are not like terms. We have an x in this term. We do not have an x in that term. So they are not like terms. I cannot combine them together. I just have to leave it written out as negative 6x plus 3. So now the next step, we need to get rid of this coefficient in front of the y. Now this time we have a fraction in front of the y. So this goes back to the first video where we were talking about multiplying times the reciprocal. Okay, so we would be, remember we divide by the coefficient. When you divide by a fraction, it's the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply this side by 2 over 1. That's our reciprocal. I took that fraction and I flipped it. Denominator moved to the top, numerator moved to the bottom. And when we do that, these end up canceling each other out. 2 times 1 is 2, 1 times 2 is 2, so we end up with 2 over 2, which is 1y. Which is what we wanted on the left side of the equal sign. Now on the right side, we need to do the same thing, but remember you have to multiply the whole side by 2. Does not matter if you have like terms when you're multiplying or dividing. You can multiply and divide by anything. Like terms do not matter for this. So since I'm multiplying by the entire side, 2 over 1 is the same thing as 2. I'm going to distribute this into the parentheses here, so I multiply everything by 2. And when we do that, negative 6x times 2 is negative 12x. 2 times positive 3 is plus 6. So our equation that we end up with is y is equal to negative 12 plus 6. Remember, we also talked about how when you're trying to get rid of a fraction, you can multiply by the denominator, and that will get rid of the fraction. So you could have just done that. You could have multiplied by the denominator. That would have gotten rid of the 2 from the bottom here. And then you would have still been left with 1y in this instance because the numerator is a 1. Okay? If it had been some other number, you would have another number in front of your y, not a fraction, but a number, and you'd have to divide by that. So those are the same steps. You're just breaking that multiplying by the reciprocal up into more steps. You have 2 steps instead of 1. Okay, last example for today. We're going to look at example 8, which is 4x minus 5y is equal to 3. Again, we're still solving for y. So I'm going to get rid of everything else that's over on that left side of my equal sign. So I end up with just a y. So I'm going to start with this 4x. Again, you have that invisible plus sign in front of it, so that means we're going to subtract 4x from both sides. 4x minus 4x is 0. And when we do 0 minus 5y, we have negative 5y. Be careful with that one. Okay, that negative sign is still in front of the 5y. That's still a part of that. Until we get rid of it, mathematically, not magically, it still has to be there. And that's going to be equal to, on the right side, those are not like terms, so I cannot combine them, so I'm going to write them all out. Negative 4x plus 3. Now we're going to get rid of this coefficient in front of the y. So we want to get rid of that -5. So we're going to get rid of -5. We're going to divide by -5. When we do that, -5 divided by -5 gives us a positive 1y. Okay, because we did negative divide by negative, that got rid of that negative for us and gave us a positive 1y. Now, we don't need to write the 1, so I'm going to go ahead and take that off. I just wanted to show you where it came from. Now, on the right side, we need to do the same thing. We need to divide by 5. The whole entire side needs to be divided by 5. So I need to divide every single term by 5. So for this first one, I have -4/5 times x plus 3/5. I can't reduce those fractions any further, so I'm going to leave them just like that. So now this is our final answer for this one. We have solved for y. It's all by itself on the left side of the equal sign. That is in our y equals mx plus b form. So when we start graphing very soon, we'll be able to use this to find our slope and our y-intercept. Now there's one more equation on your paper, so go ahead and try that one on your own and solve that one for y.